I'm going to show you my complete face massage routine that helped me get from this to this totally naturally without any injectables. I do this almost every day, and it should only take you a week or two to start seeing meaningful changes in your face. So try this routine with me and follow along with this video. It's going to be in real time. You always need to start on your chest and neck when you're working on your face. There are a lot of lymph nodes in these areas, but we tend to hold a lot of tension there, so doing this creates space for the fluids to drain out of your face and be disposed of, instead of getting stuck in the neck and chest on their way out. Here I'm working on the clavicle with really light pressure, and when you're working with lymph nodes, you want to barely go deeper than the skin since lymph is very superficial, and if you use too much pressure, you'll surpass it. Doing some shoulder circles now, you can take this opportunity to make sure your posture is looking good and the weight of your head is over the weight of your shoulders, so that your lymph has a fighting chance of getting out of your face. Now I'm working on my traps, and since we're working with muscle here, you can use firmer pressure. Moving on to the back of the neck, still with firm pressure. And now I'm massaging the spot where the skull meets the spine. This is a really neglected area, and it can release tension all down your shoulders. Moving on to the SCM, a lot of people tend to hold tension here, and when I first started doing face massage, I found this to be very sore. If you're struggling to find it, try turning your head to the opposite side a bit and it will reveal itself. I like to wiggle this muscle a bit to release tension. Be sure to work this muscle all the way from the front of the clavicle where it begins to right below the ear where it ends. Now with light pressure, I'm vibrating my fingertips around my ears and behind my jaw to open up those lymphatic passageways. Now doing the same thing underneath the chin to break up some stagnation. Moving up the scalp to the temporalis muscle on the side of the head, people with TMJ tend to hold a lot of tension here, so you can't neglect it if you have jaw pain. Now I'm using my fingertips to shift the skin of my scalp. I like to move it in diagonal motions to make sure it's not adhering to the fascia and to the skull. I also like to pull my hair up for that same reason. And this is another opportunity to make sure your posture is ideal. Moving on to the DAO muscle, I personally hold on to a lot of tension here. Maybe you do too if you also have TMJ. I'm using pretty firm pressure here. This muscle pulls the corners of your mouth down. Now with light pressure, I'm making hooks with my first two fingers above and below my jaw to move lymph away from the center of the face. This will help if you have any jowling. Getting a bit of serum for slip here, I'm using the Mixsoon Bean Essence and putting that around my jaw area and under my chin. Now I'm using one hand to hold the skin in place so that I don't drag down my face when I work on the masseter muscle. I'm using very firm pressure here, and with my mouth open, I'm looking for particularly tense areas and leaning into them with extra pressure. This should be really slow and it might be really tender. Make sure your mouth is open evenly and not off to the side. Keeping your mouth open ensures that the muscle is in a relaxed position while we work on it. If you find a spot that's really sore, you can also lean the weight of your head into it for extra tension release. Now with light sweeping motions, I'm moving the fluid from under the chin down the neck. I have one finger on the jaw and the rest of my fingers are under the chin. You can see I'm starting to get pretty red here. You might be too. That's fine by me. It means that I'm increasing the blood flow to my skin, which has tons of benefits, from making your skin glow to increasing collagen and preventing the accumulation of toxins. Okay, here's a fun one. I'm stretching my lips horizontally, which can be great for those vertical lines that we get as we age. This also helps to plump up your lips. Make sure to pay special attention to the corner of the mouth. It's a point where a lot of muscles meet, so it can be surprisingly tense. Now I'm rolling my skin up to the top of my skull. This can have a lifting effect, and again, we're making sure we don't have any adhesions around the scalp. If you have a thin face like me, you don't want to do the skin rolling part of this massage every day though. Just do it a few times a week and instead use this time to focus on areas where you hold extra tension. Moving on to the corners of the nose, this is where the nasolabial fold starts, so you might have some tension here. I'm pinching underneath and above the corner of my nose to iron out the muscle that creates smile lines. I find it helpful to wiggle and vibrate it. You don't want to have too much lotion on your face and hands when you're doing this part of the massage. For most of this routine, you don't need any face cream, but I like to have a serum on hand to make sure that I'm not dragging my skin at the times when I do need it. Now focusing on the cheekbone, I'm hooking my thumbs underneath the high points of the bone, directly below the pupils. This is another spot where several muscles overlap and it can be surprisingly sore. Making hooks out of my first two fingers again to go under and over the cheekbone and sort of carve out that angle. And I never skip an opportunity to massage the temporalis. Now we're moving up the nose with medium to firm pressure in outwards motions. There's a muscle that runs up the side of the nose, and if it's tense, it can actually accentuate your dark circles. Working on the 11s here, there's a muscle directly beneath where your brow hairs are that can get really sore, especially if you're prone to 11 lines. I'm using pretty firm pressure here, and you can again put the weight of your head into it. Grabbing a bit more of my serum to work around my eyes, I'm making super light circles. Make sure you're going in the same direction that I am. The muscles around the eyes contract inwards with age, so we want to open them wider. I like to spend extra time here since I'm prone to puffiness around my eyes. And if you have hooded eyes and don't like them, it's most likely just lymphatic fluid accumulating there, so this will help with that. Again, the muscle around the eye is one big circle and it shrinks as we age, so we're trying to expand it. Now with super, super light pressure, I'm sweeping outwards underneath the eyes to move fluid away from the center of the face. Remember to go really slow here. Doing the same thing on the upper eyelids, but using my thumbs. Now using the forefingers, I'm moving up the sides of the nose, across the entire face, and down the neck with really light pressure. You can also use your thumb underneath your jaw and your palm on top of it to sort of carve out your jawline and your cheekbones. Finishing off with some lifting motions using the fingertips. If you have nails, this might be really hard, so I'm sorry about that. I like to do this all over my face to finish with upward motions. Around the eyes, you can use the opposite hand, moving in the opposite direction to spread apart your crow's feet. Now moving on to the other side. And the last thing I'll do is use my palms to move up my forehead. And that's the whole routine. I hope that felt great. Try doing this 5 days a week for 2 weeks and just watch what happens. Bye.